Good morning, Joe Tone, Operations Section Chief with PNW2 with your daily operational update for Tuesday, August 31st on the Schneider Springs fire. We're going to start off down in the bottom in branch 2. Yesterday was a critical day with wind on the fire. It did cause a little bit of growth in a couple of the areas throughout the fire. The crews yesterday did take some offensive action to get out in front of some of the fire that wanted to make some advances with the northwest wind on it towards the southeast. So they did some firing operations right around the communications tower and down the 199 road. The fire is held primarily at the line. There was a couple spot fires that our crews were able to get all the way around yesterday. And today they're out there gridding to ensure there's no additional spots that might come up throughout today or into the coming days. Moving over into Division Oscar, lots of additional prep work on that line. It's a real heavy fuel component right here in the center around DP 144. So mechanical equipment as well as crews continuing to strengthen that line so it will hold fire as we take this firing operation to connect these two large pieces of fire that you see here in this sort of belly. Again, in state is that we have a good controlled fire edge protecting all the properties, the highway infrastructure down onto Highway 12. Moving over to the northeast in Division November, we have this fire all the way to our planned edge, and the crews in this area are continuing to do mop up, reduce any smokes and heat that are right up against the line so we can move those critical resources, the personnel and the equipment that are on the ground over to the areas of focus as we move into coming days. So this edge is looking really good. We haven't had any concerns with it for several days, but it'll continue to take multiple days, even a week, to get this line to a point where we can begin to shift the resources completely away from there and focus on other parts of the fire. Still going to be a lot of smoke and fire in the interior portion of the fire. Again, we're working only just the edge of this to make sure that the edge won't come out and get a new spot fire developed outside of our line. As we turn north going into branch 1, Division Hotel, where we have all of this black line, this is in a patrol status, so a fire engine or two going in there periodically making sure that this fire is staying exactly where we want it, that there's no smokes, no trees that are on fire that want to fall over the line. So they keep, and from times they'll bring a falling module or something like that to cut trees that do have some security issues to our line to get those mitigated and out of there so we don't end up with a problem out here along the Highway 410 corridor. Moving north into Division Foxtrot, mechanical work as well as crews on this new line running up here. This is a good ridge. It's going to be a good place for us to stop the fire that wants to kind of creep around right here above Gold Creek. So this is continuing to roll out downslope. When it does, it gets established in some new fuels, grasses, and brush, and burns back up slope. So it's done that for about a week, and it continues to do that. You can see there hasn't been a lot of movement on this line, but this entire edge is still active. This did get, with that wind on it yesterday, did get a little more active. It stood up a bit of a column. So from those driving areas where the public's going to be, that was quite visible yesterday. That's because of those northwest winds. Those strong winds blew all the other smoke out of the area, allowed good visibility on the fire, so it became very visible. It's still well inside the planned control lines for this fire, and doing kind of what it's supposed to do so we can get this up to our control line on our terms and put it at a point where we can reduce the risk to the homes and the values all the way along the 410. Moving up into Division Delta and Echo, the resources up there have done a really good job with the structure preparation and protecting a lot of mitigations of fuels around those homes. So when the fire does get there, that those homes have the best chance of survivability of the fire's edge. So they've done so well, they're beginning to pull some of their resources out and be in a position to restaff that as the fire changes and begins to get closer to those roads and houses. Over into Division Alpha, the Bumping River area, they had some additional activity yesterday, and again, that was really driven by those strong winds that we had. The fire didn't have a lot of growth, but it was burning out pockets of fuel that were right adjacent to the fire's edge along the river. This is a real difficult area for firefighters to access they're having to walk across on logs across the river in order to get to these stumps and the trees that are burning out here. There isn't a road that leads us into this area at all, so very difficult to access, and that's why you're seeing no black line for a controlled edge. Even though this fire has been at this location for more than a week now, it's had very little growth because of the efforts that the crews have put in over here to keep it on the east side of the river. Out into the wilderness, we've got some additional staff in here that is beginning to look at what control measures look like in the wilderness. So there is some very limited options out here with this being a roadless area. And there's a lot of fuel breakups with the heavy rocks and the ridges that are out here. So a lot of the places that this has grown is where it's going to grow, and there is some areas of continued timber stringers where it can move around. So we have planning efforts going into how can we go out there and direct this into the rocks and let the rocks as natural features be a barrier to fire spread. I think that's the end of our operational update for today.